Florida is rapidly becoming one of the best states to be in for coaster enthusiasts. With Velocicoaster last year and Iron Gwazi shortly after, Florida's coaster collection has become absolutely stacked. I've had the opportunity to ride 27 different coasters in the state of Florida, including Iron Gwazi, so I felt it was finally time to compile my 10 favorites in this list. These are the top 10 roller coasters in the state of Florida. Partway through writing this video, I was able to visit Spot Kissimmee and get a ride on this coaster, which just so happened to knock Cheetah out of its number 10 spot for me. This ride is almost notoriously known for its immense roughness, and that is completely justified. There are certain areas of this ride that absolutely jackhammer you, but apparently I can sustain that intensity, because I still managed to really enjoy this ride. It's much more forceful than Spot Orlando's White Lightning, which I rode the same day, and its unique corkscrew element really adds a lot to the experience. If you can push through the roughness, I would highly recommend this ride. Next up in Busch Gardens, Tampa, we have Cheetah Hunt. There's a few things that make this ride stand out for me. The first thing are those launches, which are surprisingly powerful, and at times caught me off guard. It also leads to some solid moments of airtime, with the airtime hill partway in and when going up the figure 8 looking thing. The inversion is also a pretty solid moment, giving you hang time, which is unique on a ride like this. As a whole, this is a really great attraction, although it doesn't quite pack the same intensity as others on this list. Incredible Hulk is a surprisingly unique ride for what it is. The dry tire launch at the start is one of the only ones of its kind, especially on a B&M. The first half is crazy intense, but after the brake run, the ride doesn't really manage to do anything. That lame finale is why it sits relatively low on this list for me, but I'd still highly recommend getting a ride on this when you visit Islands of Adventure. Kraken is a ride that not many seem to love, but I surprisingly really enjoyed it when I went to SeaWorld Orlando. I'll admit I rode the front, so I didn't feel any of the roughness some complain about, but I definitely felt the intensity. This ride has crazy quick pacing, and just keeps going non-stop through this layout. Not much more to say except that I didn't expect to like this one as much as I did. As of today, Hagrids Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure is currently my most ridden coaster. I've ridden it 10 times in a variety of different seats, with my favorite being the front bike seat, especially at night. This may not be the most forceful attraction on this list, but just like with Cheetah Hunt, it's certainly a fun one. The launches are great, especially when hanging onto the handlebar, and the surprise elements throughout really add a lot to the thrill. Not to mention, this is probably the best themed coaster I've ever been on, with tons of animatronics and outdoor theming. As an entire package, Hagrids is great. Kumba is crazy. This coaster runs so fast it actually feels like something is wrong. The whip through the elements and forces this thing pulls are crazy intense. Also, unlike Hulk, this ride is full of great elements from beginning to end, even after its brake run. The secluded jungle setting is nice, and the paint job is really great to this day. It's crazy to me that a ride this good will have been running for 3 decades in 2023. Hopefully, it stays at Busch Gardens for years to come. Mantus is like if Kumba were even more intense. Mantus takes the crazy whip and forces of Kumba and feels like it nearly doubles them. I got to ride this twice in a row on my most recent visit, and the ride-up actually stopped me from going on it a 3rd time because he said the G-forces were too much for people to do that. And honestly, I believe it. This is in the running for most intense rides I've ever been on, from either the front or the back, and it absolutely deserves the title of Best Inverted Coaster. At least in the US. Now we're getting to the big 3. Honestly, I didn't expect to like Mako as much as I did. Up until now, my favorite hyper was Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia, and that ride had some pretty great and unique moments. But yeah, no, Mako is better. That first hill has some insane airtime, along with that incredible first drop. I got to ride this 4 times in total, and both the front and the back are really great. I don't think it does a whole ton after that brake run, but that first half is just too insane to hold it back from this number 3 spot. Before we get into the top 2, I just want to throw out some other honorable mentions. Disney World isn't known for its coasters, and maybe it's just nostalgia speaking, but I'm a huge fan of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's probably not the best of the resort, but it's one I feel like I have to mention. Also want to mention that I did ride Icebreaker, but unfortunately it didn't make this list for me. Not sure why people put it above Kraken, to be honest. It had some good airtime and some other elements, but it overall didn't do much for me. And if you're wondering about the worst coaster I've ever ridden in Florida, it'd have to be Barnstorm, which is a decent family coaster, but not much more than that. Anyhow, let's get to these final 2. Don't get me wrong, Iron Gwazi is a fantastic ride. As you'd expect with an RMC, the airtime is great throughout, from the outer bank to the surprising wave turn. But past that, I'm not really sure how I feel about the rest of the ride. I think a few more rides will further solidify my opinion, but there were some parts that I felt a bit let down by. The death roll was good, but it pales in comparison to the Mosasaurus roll just an hour away. The stall was kind of disappointing as well, offering little to no hang time, again unlike Velocicoaster. I'll admit the ending was a lot better than I was expecting, but beyond that, I'm not sure I can call it the best in Florida. That title belongs to... The thing that separates Iron Gwazi and Velocicoaster to me is the expectation versus reality. I was incredibly hyped for both, even more so for Velocicoaster since the hype for that ride made me an enthusiast in the first place. But in the end, I found myself more surprised with Velocicoaster than I was with Iron Gwazi. While Iron Gwazi had a handful of elements that exceeded my expectations, there were also some that disappointed. Velocicoaster, on the other hand, pretty much exceeded my expectations on every single element, from the airtime pops in the first half to the insane pacing in the second. Even looking past my expectations, I just think Velocicoaster is a more complete package. Not only is the layout more unique, but it's surrounded by some incredible theming, which adds a lot to the ride experience. In the end, where you rank these rides comes down to personal preference. But for me, Velocicoaster is definitely my favorite ride in the state of Florida. What about you? Are you Team Gwazi or Team Velocicoaster? Be sure to tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe while you're there for more videos like this. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you all next time.